What's good, lunatics? So I feel like I've been talking about the Nintendo Switch Lite a lot the past couple of weeks, and that's for good reason. I'm excited about it. We're all excited about it. I'm hyped. You're hyped. I want it. You want it. And so I want to talk about some things that I realized about the Nintendo Switch Lite that they haven't really been talking about. Some hidden flaws with the system beyond what we already know. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm super excited about the Nintendo Switch Lite. I want it. I need it. I gotta have it. But that doesn't take away from these things that I've noticed that could cause concern for another buyer. Now, we already know about a few of the drawbacks concerning the Nintendo Switch Lite. For one, it can't be docked, so you can't play your game on a big screen, and that makes some games that were released on the Nintendo Switch kind of incompatible in some ways with the Nintendo Switch Lite. And I've already made a video talking about that. You can check out that video as well. But there's something we already know. Just like you already know there are no Joy-Con with the Nintendo Switch Lite. You can't remove the controller that's attached to the screen. It's an all-in-one handheld device. So we know there are some limitations in regards to that as well. If a game requires Joy-Con to be used, you would have to purchase Joy-Con separately, which sucks for some people. And again, it makes some games harder to recommend for the Nintendo Switch Lite. We already know there's no kickstand for Nintendo Switch Lite, so propping it up to play a game is going to require you purchasing a third-party accessory or even Nintendo's official kickstand accessory that they made for the Nintendo Switch. It's a great little device you can use to kickstand your Switch. It also charges the Switch at the same time. I'll leave links to that in the description. But we already knew this, right? We already knew you can't kickstand your Switch. And you know, we kind of understand why. There are no removable Joy-Con, so it's like that's not the main way to play in tabletop mode. You would have to purchase separate Joy-Con. You would have to purchase a Pro Controller separately in order to enjoy that whole feature. So having a kickstand wasn't really necessary. But we already knew this. We understood this. And we also learned a couple of other things from some third-party sources as well in regards to the Nintendo Switch Lite. People who have gotten their hands on it already. We learned that there is no auto brightness when it comes to the Nintendo Switch Lite.
One little note on the screen, it doesn't have auto display brightness adjustment, which is on the Switch.
And that may bother some people. It doesn't bother me at all. I always had auto brightness turned off. I always felt like it was always just a little bit too dim for my liking, but it's something there that's missing, and that could affect the battery life for some people, depending on how you game and how bright you usually keep your Nintendo Switch. But that's something that was already discussed, that we already know. And also, apparently, according to CNET and someone who played the Nintendo Switch at CNET, it doesn't have any rumble features as well. No HD rumble, and apparently, according to them, no rumble at all.
The Switch Lite also doesn't have rumble. Some of the games actually really take advantage of that.
That's one of those drawbacks, those cutbacks that I'm just like, why? Like, why not put any rumble in the Nintendo Switch Lite at all? It's a little bit concerning to me. You know, when you think about it, it's like maybe, you know, to save on battery life, not having these moving parts inside of the Nintendo Switch Lite, you know, probably save them on battery life and allowed them to have the battery life that it does, which, you know, outperforms the original OG Nintendo Switch. So it makes sense, but it's still kind of like, I would have liked rumble. That would have been nice. And again, that kind of puts a restriction on certain games because certain games require rumble. It's a part of the gameplay element, and not having those rumble features there makes that game pretty much not playable unless you use Joy-Con or a Pro Controller. But another flaw of the Nintendo Switch Lite, when I did some thinking and I sat back and I thought about it, because there's no removable Joy-Con, your Nintendo Switch Lite is prone to wearing down a lot faster than the OG Nintendo Switch. With the OG Nintendo Switch, all you had to do was replace the Joy-Con if the nub started to wear down or whatever the case may be, or purchase more than one set of Joy-Con so you can exchange them and swap them out whenever you desired to, so that you'd have fresh Joy-Con all the time. Well, that's not an option with the Nintendo Switch Lite. You're stuck with this one console, this one system, and these one set of controls. And we need only look back at the history of handheld consoles to see how badly these controls and these nubs and thumbsticks and buttons can wear down over time depending on who owns them and how they take care of them. There are plenty of examples out there. I can tell you, I've tried to purchase used Nintendo 3DSs and used controllers in the past, and you'd be surprised at how badly people can tear down and destroy their handheld devices. You see the pictures, you see them, it looks terrible. That's what people do to their consoles when they don't know how to take care of them, or they OD in terms of how they use them.
Oh, get it! Oh, this game! Hey! No! I swear to God, I've had enough with these tiny little poopers. No!
Promote your t-shirt, Jelly. Do it.
Oh man.
Yes. Oh man.
So that's the downside of the Nintendo Switch Lite. You have to use the same controller all the time. There's no way to really navigate around that unless you're always gonna be using Joy-Con or a Pro Controller, which obviously you shouldn't be buying the Nintendo Switch Lite if that's what you're gonna be doing. Just buy yourself the OG Nintendo Switch. Additionally, with the Nintendo Switch Lite, you're not gonna get the best performance out of your games. You just can't, because the Nintendo Switch, the original one, performs better when it's docked onto a television screen. It's just built that way. And the Nintendo Switch Lite isn't built in a way that's really much different from the Nintendo Switch. When it's portable, you're gonna be playing the portable version of those games, which often than not includes reduced graphical fidelity, and basically overall certain things are dialed back a little bit so that they run well on that portable console. So with the more expensive original Nintendo Switch, you automatically have a device that will outperform the Nintendo Switch Lite when docked. And that's simply, just because of how the Nintendo Switch is made. And the Nintendo Switch Lite isn't tuned to be any more powerful than the original Nintendo Switch, so games aren't going to be able to natively support better performance on the Nintendo Switch Lite because of an updated chip or whatever the case may be. It doesn't work that way. It's not tuned to perform that way. It's just not gonna happen. And in my opinion, that's not a deal breaker. I mostly play my Nintendo Switch portable anyway, and it's a fantastic experience nonetheless. So it's not something to be really that concerned about, but if you do want to see the best version of your games on the Nintendo Switch, you would have to go with the original, the more expensive Nintendo Switch, so you can dock it, put it on your big screen, and enjoy that. And also a really, really big flaw that may keep people from buying the Nintendo Switch Lite completely, at least a specific group of people, is the fact that Nintendo Switch Lite, you can't stream with it. There's no possible way for you to stream with the Nintendo Switch Lite. And so that's going to affect a large subset of gamers who do want a way to stream the Nintendo Switch gameplay online. They have no other choice, literally no other choice, but to buy the more expensive Nintendo Switch if they want to stream their gameplay, which will be a deal breaker for some people in regards to the Nintendo Switch Lite. And they're probably not going to buy the console unless, of course, they just want to have it. If they want just a smaller Nintendo Switch, a secondary Nintendo Switch in their life, which is something you can do. You can have a primary console and a secondary console with your account. It's something Nintendo allows. I'll leave a link in the description below about that, but it's actually pretty daggone cool. Check that out. Make sure you check that out. But yeah, no streaming at all. Not possible. And I know some people out there, I've seen the comments in some of my past videos.
Well, maybe a third-party company is going to create a dock, and you'll be able to output it onto a TV screen, and it'll fix the problem, and you can do it with Nintendo Switch Lite, Nintendo forever, Nintendo's the best.
No! That's just not possible. It can't be done. Just because the Nintendo Switch Lite has a USB-C connector does not mean it can output onto a television screen. You can only do that if Nintendo had built the Nintendo Switch Lite to be able to do that. And because there's no native support for the Nintendo Switch Lite to be able to output onto a television screen, there is no third-party dock that will be made that will change that, will fix that, will remedy that situation. If you think Nintendo didn't think about this, I don't think you're thinking enough. If it was as simple as Nintendo not providing you with the dock, I would tell everybody to jump on the Nintendo Switch Lite. It'd be $100 cheaper, and you could probably buy a dock for like 20, 30 bucks that allow you to put it on the TV screen. That's not the case. It cannot be done. The only possible way that could be mitigated in the future is if somebody finds a software exploit or hacks the device in some type of way, modifies the device in some type of way to allow that to happen. But that will require something way more than just a third-party accessory. And at that point, it probably wouldn't even make sense, like financially, for you to do that. Like, it just wouldn't make sense. Just buy the OG Nintendo Switch. It'd be more cost efficient, it'd be more time efficient, you wouldn't void a warranty, and you'd have those swappable Joy-Con. It would just be a better overall decision to make. So unfortunately, there ain't no way to stream with the Nintendo Switch Lite, but that's not a reason to not buy it, especially if that's something that is not a big concern to you. And so I pose to you guys the question of the day. Are any of these flaws I named gonna keep you from buying the Nintendo Switch Lite? Let me know in the comments below. Did anything I bring up or mention sway you in either direction? Or were you already aware of these flaws? For some people, it just don't matter. They're gonna buy it anyway. And for other people, they already had it set in their mind they wasn't gonna buy it regardless. But I wanna know your take in the comments below. Let me know your stance on all of this. Again, I am super excited about the Nintendo Switch Lite. I want it. I'm sure many of you want it. I'm getting it. But that doesn't mean there aren't some things that you shouldn't be considering ahead of time. This month, I'm giving away a copy of the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy with game controller, all thanks to my homie Destiny Fomo. Shouts out to her. And all you have to do to enter for a chance to win is answer the question of the day in the comments below, and head on over to tuanx.com and join the Lunatics. That's the only way to find out if you won and to claim your prize. Oh, and you also get a discount code so you can get one of these, cool little shirts and whatnot. Link is in the description below, and remember to stay crazy.